87.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
Okay, that's, what do they call it? The Old Tired Tube Radio Network, Fresno, California, and beyond, Central California. Central Valley of California is where we originate, where you'll hear most of the stations checking in from tonight, although there is a bit of skip beaconing through from the mini grass in Australia and other items of interest, the Old Tube Radio Network, trying to get all the buttons and controls and items of interest set up on the screen here tonight, sort of running in and bouncing into the air chair. The Old Tube Radio Network, something we've been doing here, a group of us, many of us have been doing here in Central California since the mid-1980s. A way to get those vintage tube radios on the air and out of the respective garage, drive them around the block on a Saturday evening. We invite you to participate with your radios if you're in the zone, to join us either on the YouTube video with your comments and questions and concerns via the chat room, and maybe at oldtuberadio.net listening and watching for the glowing 6L6, which it is. I think I have the proper link up. And, of course, right here on Channel 11, 27085, locally or via Skipland. My name is Dennis, one of the many net controllers that have graced the air chair of the Old Tube Radio Network here from time to time. And as the number one would say, and not necessarily this time, but indeed here I am. So we start with the direct-to-net roll call. We are on the third week. If you have the home game, go to, what is it, 2/25/2023, up in the 21st century, going to be checking in our new 00, which is, Dwayne, I haven't even looked over at the big board, the bulletin board. Get 00 checked in, and then I'll stop talking and say, are there any stations that need to get an early check-in? OTR is listening.
Please. Station.
All right, Pinedale, we've got you. Thanks for listening. Who is the station, over?
650. Can you check in 50 and possibly 195? Mark's got no power up there today.
All right, 50, 195 up in Coarse Gold. Yeah, it's been a bit rough on the conditions, wind, rain, snow, sleet, and all that good stuff. All right, again, 650 as well, over.
Thank you, sir. Everybody have a great weekend. See you next week.
All right, and who was the station, over?
Yeah, this is Dennis out here on the ditch bank, and I'm going to have early check-in. Kind of under the weather tonight, so Dennis, if you'll check me in, I'll be going back in the house.
All right, yeah, if you can hear me through the skip, you're sounding good. Go back to the house, get the chicken soup, go to where it's warm, and 96 is checked in. Thanks, Dennis.
Okay, Dennis. 96.
All right, any other stations would like an early check-in so that you may do what you can do?
Yeah, good evening there, Dennis. I'd like to check in early, 553, Bel Air the Legend, and howdy to Jaybird up there, because he's jumping up and down on the Bluetooth, and you guys have a great weekend, and I'm back quiet.
All right, Jaybird is, as they say on 11-meter radio, waving a hand back to the screen for shortwave listener 53, otherwise known as the Legend, Mr. Bel Air. Thanks, Bob. We got you checked in.
You're welcome. Catch you later. Bye-bye. Quickie?
Quickie, go, over.
That number 316, if you're still out there, you can now check in. I think we got a new member there, Dennis.
All right, I don't know if they're local, can hear me, or via the Skipland, the Old Tube Radio Network. And as always, they can check in anytime as we go along the net here, listening to the shortwave listeners, the radios. I did get 00 checked in. I want to make sure that we have on the virtual side SWL number 1. And I'm looking to see if SWL number 2, if OBP is on board with us tonight. I don't see Kevin just yet, so we'll put a proxy in for Kevin. Also a check-in for SWL3, Mr. Rob, and we are looking for the Rainmaker, SWL5. And Levon is right there saying hello, radio. So, Levon, we've got you checked in. Let's try SWL7.
SWL7 checking in.
And sounding good, Mr. Ed. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, 25, 166,
Yeah, that skip is still rolling in. I think it's actually rolling out at the moment. I'll take a look at the sunspot numbers in a bit. Directing that roll call is where we are at, looking for SWL 10. And when 10 shows up, no doubt 30 will be out there as well. Let's go to Cornbread, SWL 11. And likewise, if there's an 11, there might be a 12. How about an SWL 13? Michael, Mr. Cobra, often says hello radio on the oldtuberadio.net site, where if you can get on the comments, I will take your check-ins there as well if you are not able to jump in to the radio room, wherever you might be. Let's go to SWL 16. Charlie is joining us tonight behind the scenes there to make sure everything goes okay. Basically, it's just to keep me on track. Oh, Charlie says we want to test out the less than stellar. It's now the high altitude cam. Let me see. Is this? Oh yeah. Hey there. Okay, it's there, showing up pretty good. It's no longer the less than stellar close-up cam. All right. Well, that works pretty good. And got you in, Charlie. Got the X in the square where it needs to go. Oh, and as usual, I forgot SWL 14 because I did write you into the page here. So hello, Sanger. Can you hear me through the skip? SWL 14. Hello, Sean.
24.
Okay, we'll wait for Sean. SWL 17. SWL 18, got a proxy check in for Mr. KDA from the Facebook side.
He asked me to wave the hand to you.
Get my updated items here. SWL 19 with the cue cards tonight, as always. And how are we doing? Yeah, I see it. You must have got one of those new marking pens. It looks very good. Thank you, Chet, from, is it Derby, New York, by way of Belfast, Maine. I don't know what highway goes between those two, but it's sounding and looking good. Let's go to Harvey, SWL 20.
Yeah, no pain, no strain. 25, 25, he's waving the hand right back.
Hello, 20.
I'll give you real soon at the break.
And over to, and the program has ended. Let me see if I can get, what was the live show today for Old Radio Night?
Now, where did that go?
Yeah. Coming up there, SWL 21. On the infamous Browning Mark II. Beginning of the program there. Getting everything set up. Mr. JT from the Wasama Swamps of South Carolina. Join DD21 if you don't already over there on Old Radio Night that happens before the Old Tube Radio Network here on the West Coast. I know many of you join us. You just drive your radios over to the Old Tube Radio Network, and we appreciate that. I don't hear much going on. Let me see if I can fast forward to see what was going on with the audio tonight. I'm assuming that you guys had all sorts of Skipland radio going on.
Yeah, hello 655. Yeah, I cut the pinger off there a little bit so that wouldn't bother anybody, but I might cut it back on there. But anyway, sounding good. They're 655-21 over here working this old equipment. I'm going.
All right, working the old equipment and sounding good doing it. Thanks, JT. Pretty darn good-looking radio, if I don't say so myself, on the Browning Mark II. Thanks for checking in. Mr. Tyler, the Echolink link is up. I'm looking at the big board here. We've got stations up in the balcony. San Francisco, Clear Lake. Hello, Clear Lake, California. Fresno, the unknown SWL. You will notice the unknown SWL. It's got the rubber ducky, the bag over their head. In fact, we have the rubber ducky pen in the pocket protector tonight. Other stations listening in: Fairfax, Virginia; Ashburn, Virginia; Shinston, West Virginia, as always. The boys from Squamish down in the mezzanine saying hello, radio. Got lots of good stuff happening. Who else is around? Woodland Park, Colorado, as always. Hello to you out. Where would you be? You'd be over that way. Maybe listening in. We got a little bit of skip. Inez, Kentucky, Copenhagen. Listen, what's going on in Copenhagen tonight? Will the maps tell us? No reviews. Nothing going on there. Well, thanks for joining us here on a Saturday evening, live. The Old Tube Radio Network, Channel 11, Citizen Band Radio, kind of revisiting those glow-in-the-dark radios. Let's keep listening in. You'll hear them coming up. Moncks Corner, South Carolina. Cornelia, Georgia. Hello to you. Of course, Belfast, Maine, Minnesota. Minneapolis, Minnesota. We know you guys are. Billings, Montana. Redondo Beach, Bowling Green. Van Man is in. And a host of others on your Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for listening in tonight. SWL 23. 23 Skidoo, who is out on, as always, special assignment. He always tells me he's on special assignment, and it's very secret, and he's not allowed to, I don't know if it's the FCC or what, not allowed to tell me what is going in. And Van Man says there is no skip in Kentucky right now. Well, you can hear our gray line is faded out, the gray line coming up to the Pacific, and hints of Hawaii and other places. Let's go local to SWL 24. Hello, Joe. How about SWL 25?
Well, hello, Dennis. 25. Check it in.
All right, glad you can hear me through the noise. I have been away from the radio desk for a long time, so I haven't been making the Mondays and the Wednesdays and the Fridays, but you are sounding good. Sounds like you have the evening off, so enjoy it. Over.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm glad I do have it off because of this weather and the snow in the mountains. Anyway, I hope everybody stays safe, and might check in 74-2, Dennis, for me, and good to hear you. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
Yeah, I will do that. I was driving back from L.A. yesterday, and I got stuck. I got stuck in the big go-around to get back to Fresno, but I made it. And the Bozo-mobile is in good shape, and here we are on the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks, and I'll get you and 74 checked in. It was rough. I've never seen that much rain. It rained continuously for the 9-hour drive all the way around. Just constant, continuous rain. It never stopped. That's very unusual for most of California, but it's a good thing, I guess. We need the water. Let's go to SWL 27. Hello, Dwayne. SWL 28. And Gary in Sacramento. When have you guys got as much rain as we did? I think the storm was central and southern California. 28's checking in. He's having a cold RC, an RC Cola. Remember that? I used to buy them for 10 cents out of the machines. You know, put the tent and open the door and the bottle would come out. Little bottle cap opener right there. 10 cents, and you bring the bottle back and you get another penny. What happened? What happened to those days? Well, at least we've got the radio part of those days coming up. And hot pretzels. I'm not a pretzel guy, but I guess that goes with RC Cola. And he is ready for another great net. I am too. Gary, thanks. Thanks for that. Let me get you checked in. Also, you know what I wanted to do while I was here And while I remember it, and while he doesn't, the item doesn't scroll away, I wanted to get Neil checked in, SWL 147. Not quite an early check-in, but a check-in so that I will say, Kakalaki's in the house. Haven't had the radio much on this week. You and me both, Neil, but the conditions are good when he did Europe and the UK in the mornings. That's like, for us, Hawaii and Australia going on right now. Good amount of Utah, Montana, and West Canada. Maybe we'll hear some short skip tonight. You never know. All right, thanks, Neil. Got you checked in. Let me get the 147 box up and running. You can hear our DX fading out in the background. We are on page 2. We're supposed to be on 2, getting 29 checked in, Mr. Loner. How about SWL 30? He's the 00 guy as well, believe it or not. SWL 31. SWL 32. Shortwave listener 33, myself. Bozo Control. Private Thor, thank you for the Bozo Control. In fact, BC says that's worth a honk, getting his own Bozo Control. Bozo is a registered trademark. Bozo Control is not. I don't think anybody would register Bozo Control. Let's go to SWL 34. Jimmy, Captain Chaos, the gang out there in Chicagoland. Hey, looking good. I am glad to be sitting in the air chair. It's been a long week. I thought I wasn't even going to get to Fresno the other night, but we made it back. The train whistle, this is definitely a little toot, for sure. Thanks for all you do, Jimmy, for the various, and I hope you're doing well. Hope you're feeling better. Definitely, if you're out at the radio desk, you're on the mend, back up to 99 and 44 100%, and taking care of all the things you do, keeping everybody informed about radio stuff on Facebook. Let's go to SWL 35, Mr. Bill. Mr. Bill is out there listening from beautiful Cheyenne, Wyoming, and checking in from cool Cheyenne moments ago. Man, Bill, we are sending some nasty stuff your way, so batten down the hatches. There's a storm coming your way. Let's go to SWL 36. SWL 37.
37 here, Dennis. Good evening.
As they say on two-way radio, hello, radio. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Dennis. I'll be waiting.
Over to Sam, Byron, California, down the road a piece. I think it's one step to the left and about 9,000 paces north. Let's say hello to Sam out there. Got you checked in. SWL 39. And the guys from down under. I didn't think that was Dan, but if it can be, we'll get you checked in. SWL 40, Mr. Larry, who was checking in early, I think. Let me get the mouse going here. I think Larry was in even prior to the 6L6 glowing. Yeah. Checking in early. He's patching the roof. That's a good time to know when you need to patch the roof when it starts raining. Because then you know that it's leaking. Because before that, right, you don't know that it's leaking. You don't know that it needs to be patched. Now, the challenge is to find out where it is that you need to patch it. Where's that doggone leak coming from, right? That's the test. Let's go to SWL 41. The infamous Road Dog 507. somewhere in, is it Hudson Valley of New York, I believe, something like that. Let me see who's out there, what's going on. Yeah. Hudson Valley React, CB Radio, saying good evening to everyone. Okay, we got you checked in 41. How about SWL 42? Shortwave listener 43, you got a check-in for Crazy yet? Didn't hear any of this week. I'll get a check-in for Ray. I hope you're 360 up there. I hope they're not having too much sliding mud or whatever happens in that area when you get all this rain. I hope it's going to the right spot. Speaking about rain, here's a guy that might be getting some snow. Hello, Paul and Kelly, SWL 45 up in North Fork.
Yeah, he's pumping out that concrete.
And maybe they don't even have power. I don't know. There's a lot of power outages going on. Hello, Paul. Well, you never know. And I see, I'll do it now. Let me check in SWL 100. It's having a bad internet connection tonight, or normally we would hear Tony rooting on the tubes via Echo Link. So Tony will get you checked in right now at 100 before Net Control forgets to do that. So there is the X in the square. Listening to the Old Tube Radio Network, Channel 11. The vintage radios from 1958 to about 1978 that have those glowing tubes in them will be parading across your radio, your media device, such that it is coming up. So stay tuned for that. Our tube radio operators are at the ready. Let's go to SWL 46. SWL 47.
Do I still remember how to use this thing? Yeah, it seems like the Magic Eye tube is working. Well, if it's working, good evening from the Radio Lounge. This is SWL 47.
Hey, you're sounding good, and you have remembered, because I hear you, and I've put the X in the square. I'm hoping that you have not been two-wheeling about in this inclement weather, but you sound good, safe, and sound behind the microphonium.
It's rather disturbing that you'd say that. As always, your clairvoyance is amazing. I have been two-wheeling it because my stupid car has an issue, but we won't go in there right now. What's not having an issue apparently is the radio I'm on, and I'm grateful it's working, and grateful for the opportunity to hear everyone on it.
Yeah. It's amazing, this two-way radio, no wires except the ones that are right in front of you, goes out. You can't see it. Well, I guess you could if you had special glasses, whatever the wavelength is. And it comes back in like a little lost balloon into receivers everywhere. And you know what? You will never get a bill at the end of the month because you talked to OTR. No one's going to send you a bill. Sounding good. We got you checked in.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll be listening, until it's time to officially check this in.
All right, that's coming up. Let's go to shortwave listener 48. SWL 49. Got a check-in for SWL 50. Got some power issues going on around there. So we get 50 checked in. How about SWL 51? How's the power out in Sanger? Over.
We definitely have power out here. At least I do. 51 checking in.
All right, man, you're sounding good. I look over and I think it's like, is he 15 over? It's like 7, S7. Love that audio. All right, well, good to hear you. Hope that all is dry out that way, and we got you checked in. We could have, if I was doing it right here, it'd be my first Echolink check. I think we might have an Echolink link. We will see. We'll give 52 a call. KB6GFD listening. Over. I think Aaron is is up on the Echo Link. Here he is.
You do indeed have a station waiting in the wings. Good evening, Dennis and everyone else on the net. From behind the golden microphone, SWL 52. I spent most of this afternoon up in the attic working on projects for future coax runs. So that's more to come on that. We'll soon be on the RF side eventually. Catch you later, Dennis.
All right, yeah, hopefully you've got one of those attics that's easy to get into and move around, or you made yourself little crawl boards or something like that. I have to do that as well. I've sort of got an input and an output, but it sounds good. Sounds like it's going to be a nice installation when it is done. Thanks for joining us on the Echo Link. My levels were set correctly, so you have helped me figure that out. Thanks for joining us. KB6GFD.
Thank you much, sir. I do have pictures on my website, so k6usy.com.
All right.
See you later.
We are, thanks for getting the Echo Link checked out, and I do have an X there. Oh, wait a minute. Are we doing the right one? Yeah, I'm checking in people for the wrong weeks. And also, Mr. Belair is checked in. While I have a chance here, let me go back and see who's joining us on the video side. Foxman 362 out of Rockwood, Tennessee, where it's 50 degrees. It's probably 39 outside. It was cold around here. It's going to be snowing in the low part. SWL 69, hey, Kenny, I see ya. Let me get you checked in now. Kenny's out in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But Kenny was one of the, what do we say? Kenny was one of the big players here on the old Tube Radio Network when he was around town. And we miss you, but it's always nice to come in on a Saturday evening and say hello to Kenny. Who else? Who else is joining us that we don't often hear? Jukebox 502 out there in Nineland, waving from Southern Illinois. Thanks for joining us. Cornbread is in, 11 and 12. Did I actually get you? 11, Cornbread. And Dapper Dan telling me to adjust my tie, saying I'm not quite as dapper as I could be. So 11 and 12 checked in tonight. UDX 483 Mud Bucket 502. Looking good on the old Tube Radio Network. Jose, thank you for checking in. Wanting to know if anybody has a Night Eagle for sale. I don't know. There's Dwayne. Dwayne checking in. 00. Okay, we got you. And early for 10. It's been a long day. Yeah, catch you all next week. So I did get 00 and 10 and 30 checked in. I know about those long days. I've been having a lot of them lately. Let me break for a second here.
Hey, big man. Break OTR.
Hey, there we go. The break OTR. Go ahead, over.
Hey, 6-1 checking in. I heard a split in the skip.
Yeah, it's coming back, but you're sounding good. So, 61, we got you checked in, and you're looking good. Hope you're staying dry out there, Copenhagen. Thanks.
Charlie, the big man.
Yeah, we got you checked in. 61, over.
Thank you, sir.
All right. It's 8:30, and we're still talking in between the skip here on the West Coast. Hello, Mark. Mark S362. Always good to see you on the item of interest. Albert and the gang up there in the BC. Running around the facility here. Handing out good things. So tell them the old Tube Radio Network sent you. 111 checking in. Robert, I see you. If I heard you before, I don't know. Maybe we had some skip land. Maybe get 111 checked in while we are at it. Looking at the video. Let's see, is that Jungle Joe? See, Video Gates. Good to have you back in. UDX 791 from the Gulf Islands in the North Pacific. Rusty Rails in Arkansas checking in. Well, we got a lot of people coming over from old radio night tonight, and I was remiss. I did not get a chance to check in and participate with ORN tonight, but I did see it was the Mark II, which is always a good thing. Mark E, hello to the shortwave listener, folks. Thanks for joining us tonight, Private Thor, where it's snowing over at the QTH. It might be snowing around here. We don't have any rain yet, but boy, it's cold enough to do that. Hello, Hemorrhoid. I'm from South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. A lot of stations coming in. I hope a lot of you that listen in are able to do something like this where you are at, but I'm glad you join us to participate in what we do. Bandman saying hello, radio. Who else is out there joining us tonight on your old tube radio network? We're on the directed net roll call, and we will be checking in the radios. Brewster 3006, 3006, enjoying the content we're trying to share as much as possible. Very good. Thanks for that. We appreciate that. Okay, and Sean checking in. SWO14, how come I didn't hear you? Sean, are you out there? 14, over?
Correct.
Yeah. Sean checking in. Oh, you're out in what do they call it? S Valley, right? Okay, I got you online. Maybe that's why I couldn't hear you, because we had too much skip. So Sean, 14, is checked in. Michael, California Eagle, and AMX out there in Zero Land. Hello, radio. And GNJ, oh my gosh, from Mill Valley. Beautiful Mill Valley, Mr. P, Mr. Pozar. Thank you. Thank you for joining us here on the Old Tube Radio Network. And Tim says my tie is straight. That's because I have a crew. Tim is one of our famous engineers longtime engineers here in Fresno, California, now working out in the Bay Area, keeping all the radio stations and everything else up and running, and also other things as well, little mysterious things. Mysterious beacons. I don't know what Tim does anymore. He just keeps these mysterious beacons running back and forth. But Tim, we miss you out here. Glad you checked in, and yeah, thanks for fixing our radio the other night. Things go bump in the night, and Tim is one of those guys that has to get up in the night and fix the bump. All right. We're still there. The Old Tube Radio Network. Let's go back to the roll call, and I believe we left off going to page 4. So I will get Mr. Board Jammer checked in 54 and ask if SWL 55 is around.
55 checking in from a very warm 25 degrees at 4,100 feet.
Wow, yeah, the sun came out, huh? They brought it up to 25. Thanks for being patient while I went on and on to get you checked in. Sounding good. All right, well, hopefully everything is not leaking. It's probably semi-frozen and sludgy, and I know you're having a good time.
Yeah, we got about 3 feet of snow in less than 24 hours and a foot the day before. But I also like to proxy or check in 65 if you don't hear them, please.
All right, I will do that. Yeah, we're back to measuring snowfall in foots again. So maybe that could be a good thing for our future water. Boy, thanks for joining. Always good to hear you. A great signal. Thanks, and I will get 65 in.
Thank you, Dennis. And at 8,651 feet, a week before the storm, there was 16 feet of snow up there.
Wow. All right. Well, Sierra Summit, what do they call it now? It's probably doing okay with their skiers. The snow people are going to like that. Thanks.
Thank you.
55 is in. Let's go to the place where I don't know if it ever snows. Does it ever snow at Gazebo Gardens? Hello, Phil, 56.
Well, actually, it did a few years back, and there was enough to where I actually took my snowmobile out and rode it around the neighborhood.
I remember the time it snowed because I was working at the TV station at 4 a.m, and I got an escort. We had an escort going down 41 to downtown. And I thought, well, that's pretty interesting. This is Fresno, California. We've got like they do up on the Grapevine. So I don't know. This would be really late in the season to get snow, but you never know. All right. Cornbread says he's got the AC on. So I think it's time to check the heater. Phil, you are sounding good, and we've got you checked in. SWL 57, Mr. Brown Dog Audio. Did I see BDA coming in? Jukebox 502 says, OTR making weekends fun. Well, you know why? Because we are two radio operators, our shortwave listeners, that sneak away. Raise your hand, how many of you sneak away from the thing you're supposed to be doing on a Saturday evening to turn on and tune in and peek into the old tube radio network? Let's go to SWL 58. SWL 59, Uncle Hairball.
Break OTR.
I think Uncle Hairball's around there. Get him a check-in. The break OTR sounding good from the hill. Go ahead.
Good evening, Dennis. SWL 145, Tony up here at Coast Code from a snorri Coast Code. Can I get a early check-in, please?
Yeah, we'll let you do that. I'm glad you guys have power. Hopefully you've got enough heat to go around. What's the snow like up in Coursegold? Have you got in a couple inches? Have you got over a foot? Over?
Not over a foot. We got a good 4 or 5 inches at least. Yeah, it's the most I've seen since we lived here. And we did move here in 2021.
Yeah, it's definitely very late in the season to be getting this kind of snow. All right, we've got you checked in. You're sounding good. Good signal tonight. Got nice clear air path down into the midtown Fresno here tonight. Thanks, Tony.
Okay, Dennis. Yeah, I said 2021, but I meant 2001. We've been here longer than that. Anyway, back to you, Dennis.
All right, man, we still got Skipland coming in, so hopefully I'm making it through that. Thanks for checking in. Let me go to the 147 beacon and put you in officially. Thanks. Okay, we got a couple of Echolink links, so we'll get to those in just a bit. We are on page 3, direct net roll call. SWL 60, hello, Joe.
Hello, Dennis, and good evening to all the fellows out there. SWL 60, checking in.
Thanks, Joe. Sounding good, and no doubt we will catch you when we start glowing in the dark. Dino 61 checked in moments ago. SWL 62. King Duckford. Yeah, what happened to KD? Haven't heard him in a while. SWL 63. Butterbean, North Georgia. Probably out there at ORN. I'll get Butterbean checked in. Over to SWL 64. Craig, out there in Wisconsin. Yeah, there's Uncle Hairball. Craig in Wisconsin, Nineland, and we've got Randy. Randy coming in from Nineland. We'll catch you over on the Echolink in just a bit. SWL 65. 65's got a proxy check. And SWL 66. SWL 67. I've got a check-in from Bill. He's got internet issues. SWL 68. It's Michael up in New York. I didn't see that he was in early. Let's try SWL 69. Kenny in Tulsa. We got you checked in. Listening in earlier. Always glad you can join us. 007 Extreme CB. Hello, radio. Thanks for tuning in. I guess you can tune it in, right? Tuning in the old tube radio network tonight. Let's go to. Let me try some Echolink links here. See what happens. I know there's a bit of delay, so I always start the Echolink transmitter up a little bit if you're watching the video. We'll try Randy. Randy, NSD, see if you're out there within the voice of OTR, KC9NSD, KB6GFD. Hello, Randy, over. Sometimes the delay coordination is a bit wacky when we're doing the Echolink here, but I always like to try it. Always an item of interest. Let's get SWL 70. Hello, Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hit the wrong button. This is KC9NSD, and now back to you, Dennis. Sorry.
All right, no problem. You have the right button now. Your audio sounds great on the Echo Link. Thanks for joining us, as always. And we are sending you guys some nasty weather, I think. So enjoy whatever you've got right now. Over.
Okay, well, we're used to it, Dennis. We just hope everybody out there on the West Coast is keeping warm, staying dry, and keeping safe. Back to you.
We are trying to do that. You have a better grip on what that means when it snows and rains here at the end of February. We're waiting for the peaches to blossom out. Thanks for joining us, Randy. Before you go, where are you at? What's your location out there? Over.
I am located in southeastern Illinois. I'm about 45 miles south of St. Louis on the Illinois side of the Mississippi. KC9 NSD, back to you, Dennis.
All right, thanks for joining us on Echo Link, and we got you checked in, and maybe I'll hear you. Maybe I'll be able to chat with you on some of the other frequencies. 73 to you from the old tube radio, KB6GFD. The old tube radio network, director net roll call on the Echo Link link. Let's go over to, and I've got to find the right mouse on the right screen and refresh comments. I didn't hear from 70. How about SWL71? See what Stan is doing tonight. Might be doing some remote items. Let me see. He's checking in, working the CQ Worldwide 160-meter contest tonight. Stan is. So 160 might be a little difficult to transmit on, but yeah, if you've got a wire tuned down, what do they call it? Is that the top band? Is that the nickname for 160? And it's the CQ Worldwide Contest, so it's CQ test, right? Da did it da CQ da da did da did da da did it da. Is that how they do it? I don't remember, but CQ test on 160. So good luck in the contest, Stan, and we've got you checked in. Let's go over to SWL72, SWL73. I'm going to give John a check-in. I wouldn't be surprised if he is out there working the 160-meter contest tonight. We've got Miss Dilly checked in. Let's go to SWL75. Let's go to shortwave listener 76, SWL 77. Somebody said get a proxy check in for Dennis. We will do that. SWL 78, Richard in Wild Wildemar. And I'm waiting for those check-ins. Where are our check-ins? From down under. Let's try Mr. Phillip, Mr. DC 79. SWL 80. And I want to try an Echo link here, so we'll see if X4000 is around. We'll try X4000 on the Echo link. He is listening in. See what's happening up the road a piece. KN6LW, KB6GFD, over. On the Echo Link, X4000. You might recognize this voice. Here we go.
KB6GFD, KN6LW. It's 45 degrees and overcast here in Northern California. And do my eyes deceive me, or did I see the GNJ item of interest from Mill Valley in the chat? Over.
Yeah, the Mill Valley Timtron, our West Coast version of the Timtron is in. Probably just back from some clandestine beacon monitoring. Always nice to see a few of our local engineering gurus here on the old tired tube radio network. So you saw that correctly. I've got you checked in, and you as soon as we sign off here, you got to run around to the other studio because you are coming up Woo. My computer screen just went black. I hit the wrong button. You are coming up for something, so stay tuned. Thanks for joining us. Over.
Well, as I say in amateur radio, fine business, old man. And yes, I'll warm up my pipes here for the top of the hour. And hey, if G&J can get his Echo Link going on his phone, if I can do it, he can do it. We can all hear from him at some point. KN6LW.
KAB6GFT. Okay, it is that time for the Bob and Steve. Whatever Bob and Steve does, we will find out. When will we find out? We'll find out right now.
27.085 OTR Channel 11.
OP, thank you, Bob and Steve, taking us into page 4. And those tube radios coming up. Episode 155. Are we the right one? No, we're on the wrong one. let's go to the right episode. Episode 156 for February 25th, 2023. They went to the Daytona 500. They had great seats in the third row. Of course, seat number 33. They post the little tickets. Whatever they give you are posted on the bulletin board next to the cork under the glass there. So you can see their ticket. Very nice. I like that. The Jingle Singers got invited to go up into the Goodyear blimp balloon. Uh-oh. I see something bad happening here. For the third race, they said there were all kinds of radios on it. Really? They had a very nice view of the race. They have those trailing wire antennas. There's a name for those. I don't know what they call them, but they use those. They said they had to be careful not to get shot down. Well, indeed. They had the signs that said, "We're from old tube radio," so hopefully that doesn't get them shot down any sooner. The Jingle Singers did it again. They went to garage sales and found a Swan 700CX. That's the big one. I got to talk to AI6J, to Skippy, who is a Swan expert. I think he said he had a 700CX. So, Al, when I talk to you, we'll find out what's good about the 700CX and how long do you have to keep it on frequency, or relatively. So they had the speaker and the power supply with it. Looks brand new, all set up in the lounge and ready to go. We'll find out what frequency is on when we get there. Also going to have a putt golf tournament. Please sign up. The bulletin board by the elevator, no age requirement, so everybody should have some fun with that. At the bar tonight from Woodland Park, Colorado. We have a Woodward Park here in Fresno. I was wishful thinking. Woodland Park, Colorado. We've got some listeners that know about that place. Swiss Chalet, beautiful shrimp platters all around the bar. I noticed something was very decorative out there for a guy that isn't big on shrimp platters, but it looks good. I mean, I couldn't get in if I wanted to. That's how popular it is. Please enjoy it, and please join us after the net. The drinks, as always, well, not as always, but most time, are on Bob and Steve. And please do not forget to feed the fish.
27.085 OTR Channel 11.
Back in a moment. Okay, back to the direct-to-net roll call. Radios are coming up. You've got something warming up. It will be ready to go. Let's try SWL81, SWL82. He might be out at the races, or whatever might be racing around in the rain here. I'll get a check-in for Ron. A note that Ron is your host of the Ditch Banks Sideband Net, to be heard Friday evenings at 8 p.m. Pacific time on your radio at some point. Live direct, short skip, long skip. Who is it? Somebody said turn the radio on the back. Is that you, Foxman? Okay. I'll do it early, because you know what? If I don't do it now, I will inevitably forget. SWL 83. SWL 84. Let's get 84 and the ladies checked in. That's Jerry Cheerios Kid and the Mountain Maid Tandy Girl and the Snowy Owl, 86, 87, and 88 respectively. And the radio that I just turned on in the background is from their collection. I believe that actually belonged to Mountain Maid. Let's go to SWL 89.
Can I check in?
This is the Can I Check In frequency. Go ahead, sir.
Roger. Number 20. Please check in me. 29 and 54 if you would, sir.
All right, getting on the right page. Glad you are back in the air chair. I've got you checked in, and I think I've got most of the others, so thanks.
Roger. And I'll have a radio of interest tonight.
Radios of interest are always good when we are talking about the old tube radio network. To make it official, I will give you the official radio check-in, where it will switch from checking in to checked in, and there you go. Thanks. Directed net roll call. We are continuing. I am continuing with the roll call, and where did I leave off? SWL 90. Over to SWL 91. Take us to Felix, who's staying up late, as always, here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Saying hello to all the shortwave listeners, the Old Tube Radio operators. And we'll put an X in the square. Felix is a gentleman. Yes, he is. I bet his pocket protector is never out of shape and bent up like mine is, and his tie, unlike mine, is always straight. Thanks, Felix. Let's go to SWL 92. SWL 93. Shortwave listener 95. I think I saw the station from Orlando. Yeah, 95 is in. Warthog 95. Thanks. I hope everything is going out there okay in Orlando tonight. 96, you heard earlier. Dennis checking in from Kerman Town. Let's go to Boston. Hello, Jim, SWL 97. Right there. He's got the shades. I don't have my... I'm looking to see. I'm going to have to bring my... He always has the cool little logo. I'll put my shades on next time. We'll get that. I don't know if you need them in Boston these days, but you never know. SWL... there we go. SWL 98. Tracy. I'll get Tracy checked in. I usually hear Tracy on the Ditch Banks sideband when I'm tuning in, when I'm there. SWL 99, Radio Randy. And I have not been very radioactive of late on anything because I've been away from the air chair. So, Randy, if you're listening, Randy has promised us some nice radios when we get the skip conditions, short skip conditions from Arizona. McClellanville, Tony. Checking in a bit earlier. I got Tony in. Let's go to SWL 102. Hello, John. I know you're out there. And we get John checking in tonight. Thank you. X in the square. SWL 103. And that is John out of St. Louis. Let's try shortwave listener 109.
Good evening, Dennis. Cronut 109 checking in.
All right, braving the cold weather up there, turning on all the affiliated equipment to warm up the room. Sounding good down here in Midtown tonight, Crawdad, and you're checked in.
Thank you.
Shortwave listener 110. No doubt 5150 is skating across Millerton Lake. You never know. SWL 111 checked in Robert out of Reedley moments ago. SWL 113. Shortwave listener 114.
114 checking in.
114. Hey, Wayne, you're sounding good. I've got you checked in. Over.
Thank you.
And we're sounding good on the Cobra there. Also, I do see Mikey made it in 13. Let me make it official. I think I checked you in before, but I see you on my video screen there. Let's go to SWL 128. And John is in moments ago out of Fairfax, Virginia. He might have the old Helicrafters SX99 up and running, doing a bit of shortwave listening tonight, because he is one of those official shortwave listeners from the 60s, recognized by none other than Popular Electronics. Pretty cool. Let's go to shortwave listener 131. SWL 133.
Good evening, Dennis. 133, checking in.
Dave, sounding good. Sounding good from Northwest Fresno. Looking good on the S meter. And hopefully you are not, the Radio Shack is not flooded out over there.
No, it's dry now.
All right, dry now. It's high and dry now, and it sounds like it is definitely functional. Thanks for joining us here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Where are we going? SWL 135. Hello, Cliff.
Hello, SWL 135 here. If this thing is working.
It is working just fine. Over.
Oh, beautiful. Then I will check it in hopefully the very near future. It's cold out here.
It is cold. It is cold in here. I've got the tubes up and running, and it is, for once, the seersucker suit and the tie actually feel good tonight. I feel like there's a reason for wearing them. Over. Well, there's always a reason for wearing them, because this is the Old Tube Radio Network. Let's go to SWL 137.
Hey, Cliff? Yeah, they're doing roll call.
I know, I wanted to say I can hear you well on this receiver.
Groovy.
And you know what that means. I do have the external speaker, but you know what that means. Okay, see ya.
Do any of us know what that means? It's always nice to be heard on whatever speaker you might have. I'm touching this microphone. I'm still getting the strange plosives. Hear that? So much for a shock mount, for an expensive shock, actually a cheap shock mount and a cheap windscreen. That's what I get. Did I call Tony? Oh, yes, I did. Tony checked in earlier. You heard him 145. We also talked to Neil up there in Kakalaki, 147. Looking good and sounding good earlier this evening. That takes us to Mr. Snowbeast, 188.
Good evening time, Dennis. Good evening time to all SWLs. Hope everybody's staying warm and dry. So 188 checking in.
All right, sounding good. And yeah, it's been harrowing with the wind and the rain. And what's the song? Oh, the wind and rain. Well, we got you checked in.
10-4, thank you.
Over to, they're saying that I've got a shadow. Okay, pull the microphone down. They're always so good. My audio should sound good. I guess my video needs to look good too. Thanks. Okay, 195. We got Jim checked in. Jim, if you're listening, maybe not at the microphonium, but if you're listening, Mr. Starliner, Course Gold, we got you checked in. And GWD Labs checking in as well. Hello out there. Let's take a check. Let me see if I go up to the wacky camera. Can we turn that on? Where's the wacky camera? Can you see? Yeah, hey, you can see more of the stuff. You see the racks. Hey, there's the ugly rack panel with all the patch bays and other affiliated wires and things. So GWD Lab, he comes in, wants to make sure that I have my audio, my less than stellar audio setup as good as possible. So it is there. Let's go to SWL 226. It's Mr. Shockwave. Anybody else before we switch over to the tube radios? GWD says he came for the blinking lights. You come for the blinking lights, but you stay for those tube radios. All right, back in a moment. I'm going to set up for the tube radios, and some people say it's a show. Well, maybe the show will begin in moments when our tube radios make the grade. Back in a bit. Your old tube radio network. Stand by.
We are standing by.
Sit down.
Huh?
Don't stand by. Sit down.
Oh, okay. That's more comfortable.
Don't stand by. Sit down.
And this is your old, tired tube radio network.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The old tube radio network.
Your old tube radio network since 1986, something like that. And a group of people around these parts got together, came down to Channel 11, said, you know, it's about time. We got together on our tube radios and talked about turning knobs and plugging in microphoniums and just lit up the airways with those glorious sounding radios back in the day, whatever that means. Things we wished we had, things we did have, and things we're buying now but we never had. That's sort of the way it works around these parts. Our tube radio operators will be joining us shortly with their collections, and when possible, we will try to give you a picture to go along with the radio if you're watching over at the YouTube item. If not, just listen in. 2705 Channel 11, the way we used to do it, just like radio stuff. Replay is available. Our audio people listening to us at oldtuberadio.net. The 6L6 is glowing. Who just joined us? Who is that up in the balcony? Germantown, Wisconsin. Come right in and enjoy the program. You know how it works. So I will say, this is the Old Tube Radio Network. We're looking for radio number 1.
135, 135.
One heard at the moment. Skip is in there, but trying to go away. Let me bring up the radio list. The Rolodex is ready. Go ahead, Cliff. You're sounding good. Over.
Oh, that's nice to know. I have been it seems I've gone up a little bit in frequency. Anywho, yeah, SWL 135 here. On a radio from beautiful downtown Burbank, California. This, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, is the General Radio Telephone, Martian Control number 5, the MC5, which is Master Control. Okay, I know that. And yeah, I've got the thing more or less working. let's see. Oh, there are technically 7 transmit channels and 4 receive channels with a VFO, which I'm using right now to zero people in with. I believe there are 7 tubes. I thought there were more, but I think there's only 7 tubes in here. How's it working? Back to you.
It's working great. It sounds good. Boy, it took a long time for the photo to come up, so I hope I'm not going to have some weird issues tonight. But Paul, SWL45, you're listening, watching in. We're going to use your radio because I thought we might have had one from you, but it's acting weird. So I'm going to take the picture I can get. Let's go. There we go. MC5. You said beautiful downtown Burbank. I knew just where to go. MC5, kind of their flagship radio for late 1962. I think they sold a lot of these, kept them going, but it sounds good. Over to you.
Yeah, sorry, a little bit of a dirty mic switch I still haven't messed with. I've cleaned virtually everything else in this miserable thing. I still got to get at the mic switch. And let's see. There is one thing for which this radio is known, and I know you know what it's going to be, right? And I would like to ask your permission if I should demonstrate that now.
Yeah, okay, well hang on. Let's talk about the radio a little bit. Okay, let's talk about MC5. Master Control was their base radio, and then they had the VS, the vibration service, which was their mobile, right? Their mobile version of said radio. MC5 was probably the most advertised general radio telephone. You can find it in a lot of, and they did those half-page ads too in those CB magazines, much like the MC4, but it had a stronger transmitter, and this was the last general with the tone signal, thanks to the FCC. 6-volt, 12-volt, 115-volt AC if you had the right cord. 7 tubes, believe it or not. This is one of those throwbacks to like the Hallicrafters where the 7-tube radios, right? Man months, right? You just keep taking the tubes out until it doesn't work and then put one back in. I'm going to go to the extreme close-up. I know I'm talking a lot here. We want to get back to the radio, but we're going to focus right now on that switch in the center of the radio. It's below the S meter. It's called tone signal. And Cliff is going to tell us about that. How does it work? Over.
Well, it works rather simply, actually. All you got to do is hit the switch, which I'm about to do now. That's the stuff right there. That's the reason for doing all this work.
Tone signal. All right, we're looking at the switch. Where's our ad? So in this photo, the switch is up. So is that the on position? Why is the switch already up?
You know, I wondered that myself. I thought, oh, is it on? And so I went to turn it off because I didn't want it coming on when I turned on the radio, right? No, it's spring-loaded. So it's always in the up position because that's where the spring pushes it. And so you got to push down on it and hold it down to make the happy noise.
Okay, so you hold it down momentary. I think your mic is open at the same time. The tone signal goes out. The other radios, the other generals realizes you are there. And the FCC did not like this tone signal and said it must go away. And so it was replaced with the bullhorn. There are various reasons why that could be. I'm thinking that it was used as some type of a, what do they call it, malicious interference device that is built into the radio. It is not an external device, as many of the tone signals were at that time. It was built into the radios. I think that's probably one reason the FCC didn't like it. One more question. So you have to physically hold the button down to keep it toning, or will it? Can you keep it on by just flopping it down? You said it was spring-loaded, right? So you must sit there to keep it going, correct?
That is correct, yes. There goes the mic switch. Let's see. Yeah, it is a spring-loaded momentary switch, so you've got to hold it down to keep it going. Oh, and actually, I don't need to be transmitting with the mic in order to make that happen. It will kick itself into transmit Like I can just let go of the mic and just hold it down, and it will transmit the signal.
Yeah, I think we tried that before, and we were actually hearing if you talk into the microphonium. This is a 5-channel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Does it have a crystal control? V. It's got the VFO. All right, VFO. There's the nice little dial on the side there under General. Or I see crystal control, and then the X. So you must have a secret transmit channel somewhere.
Well, yeah. Sorry about that switch. Yeah, if you look in between those the two middle knobs, you'll see a crystal socket. That is for an extra transmit channel you can plug right in there.
Pretty cool for 1962. Early 60s, it wasn't very common to have a 23-channel radio. Why was that? Well, you needed 23 crystals for receive, 23 crystals for transmit. Made the price of the radios go up. That's why a lot of them had the receiver, no crystals necessary. You definitely have to have crystals for the transmitter. That was an FCC thing. What was the original price of this? $200, $199.95 in 1963. So not cheap in dollars, 1962 or $63. But compared to the Brownings and the Trams, it was an affordable radio. The MC5 had a real nice ceramic microphone. Oh, before we go, there we go. There's that waffle-esque looking ceramic microphonium plated electro voice microphone. And what are you using? Are you using the waffle mic?
Negative. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, the mic here is the General 27. I'm not sure how to describe it except a black plastic unamplified handheld type microphone. It's similar, but not exactly like the CM3. But it's different from that one. It's got like horizontal vents going all the way up and down from the bottom of the top to the front of the mic. Now, like I say, in the meatball area it says General, and underneath that it says 27, whatever that's about. But no, I do not have the original waffle type hand mic.
Okay, well, the audio sounds pretty good, as they do on all the general radio telephones. You mentioned something about frequency before we go. Take another transmission. I will put on the frequency sensing device. I'll put it on the S meter, so if you're watching the video replay, you can give yourself a signal report, and you know it's going to be 9 pounds good modulation at Chestnut and Herndon. Back to you.
Okay.
My meter says 952-ish. It's vacillating between 5.1 and 5.2. So it's pretty close. I got it. This is as close as I could get.
And it does change with temperature. When it gets warmer, it goes down a bit in frequency, and when it gets colder, it goes up. So I'm not sure how stable it is either, because I don't have a waterfall display. So how's that? How close is it?
It's right on. Again, you're not 100% modulated, so when you go to sideband, the audio drops off a little bit. You sound fine, though. And if I went up for the SWLs heard the 0 beat on 0 itself, and I went down likewise. So you are very close to being right on frequency. Over.
Oh, Roger. That's cool. Yeah, it took me a while to get that to happen. And I've got the that VFO lined up right smack on the channel 11 number, which is just about right in the center. And you are 30 over. This meter only goes to 30 over, and you are all the way. So it's got a really good receiver. It sounds really good. And hopefully I'll be able to improve the transmit audio at some point here with a little help from our Harvey. And that'll be it. It's very cold out here. I'm glad this thing is working. This is a new one for me. And like I say, just got it and have been working like crazy on it for the last couple of days. I couldn't resist trying to check it in, even though it's too cold to be doing so. So thanks for letting me check it in. See ya.
All right, and before you go, one more thing. There are fans of, I think some people called it the Q bird. So on your way out, give us a little bit of the tone signal Q-Bird for the fans of the General Radio Telephone MC5 living in infamy because the FCC said you can't do that anymore. So this is, give us one for the FCC. Over.
I am only too happy to do that. I love this thing. Okay, here we go. There you go. The Q-Bird, the Tweety Bird, the tone signal from the MC5. Thanks again. See ya.
All right, thank you for radio number 1, the General Radio Telephone MC5 from beautiful downtown Burbank, and the engineers over at General Radio Telephone, the 6, the 7, the Super 8, 9, 10, 11, all the way through 1972. So they had about 10 more years of radios to go after this, and they just kept getting better and better. True tube radios, what we do here at the Old Tube Radio Network on your media device, whatever it might be, maybe on your radio listening to us on 27085 or over the Universal Media Net Web. Hello to, speaking of good audio, hello to the audio crew, 7199 audio crew, where I have been most absent from that because I have been most absent from the air chair, just kind of jumping in. It took me 9 hours to get here yesterday. I've got to go back. So we will catch up on insane kitty theaters around here somewhere, and there's more insanity to go. And yeah, I missed my dose of voodoo audio, so there'll be plenty of catching up to do. And I appreciate the fact that people are saying maybe he should come back rather than good riddance. So that's always good. In the meantime, the jingle singers will jingle their singer, and then we'll be back, hopefully, with radio number 2. You are listening to your Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
The station for you and you, 27085 in Central California is where we are at, thanks to the Universal Media Net Web, oldtuberadio.net, YouTube. We have other stations who probably do a similar thing, where they are enjoying the Old Tube Radio items of interest. Hello to No Quarters, UDX 351. Thanks for joining us. Always good to hear Crash 350 from Pennsylvania. Thanks for staying up late. Tuning in the Old Tube Radio Network, Yank 2W2600 as well. Jumping in on OTR. And we are standing by listening for radio number 2. I think a lot of people, because of the weather, are probably hiding out near the fireplace or the heater or wherever there is hot chocolate or coffee or tea or some beverage that will warm you up. Turn on the radio. It will warm you up as well, OTR listening.
60.
As does this station, SWL 60, well know that a couple of well-placed glowing tube radios will keep the room in fine shape when it is inclement weather like we are having. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Dennis. Doggone it, we're going to break away from the hot chocolate just for a minute. Maybe the coffee. And maybe some pistachio nuts. So we can check in from the World Radio Labs, our Hustler base. We'll go back to what Cliff said about the 7 tubes on his radio there. I have one here with 7 tubes. 8 channels. Getting back to you there, Dennis.
Yeah, one of those, I mentioned that, one of those infamous 7 tube radios like your Hustler, like, what was it, the Hallicrafters CB3A, oops. And I'm trying to make sure, because it's such a cool radio, that we get a picture at oldtuberadio.net. There it is, great. We've got on the video, we'll go to it full screen, if I can. we get the right picture. There it is. There's a lot of technical wizardry that has to go on here. You just press the push-to-talk microphonium and are good to go. Over here at Old Tube Radio Network, there's a lot of other things that happen. Sounding good. Take a transmission.
Yeah, thank you much here. Doggone it. We're kind of admiring the little radio right now with this little bitty speaker that it has. Hey, boy, you sure sound good on it, too. A little bit of decorations all around the radio there, Dennis, with the hardware, with the old mic hanger and the ready bracket to bolt up to your 59 Ford Dash if you wanted to go mobile with it. And, of course, there we're talking a little bit on a Turner Plus 3.
Nice audio. It doesn't mess up your voice. What do I mean by that? It'd be like too high or too low or too much mid-range. It accentuates your voice with that plus 3, and of course the World Radio Laboratories. World Radio Labs. Just a great history there. Major supplier of amateur radio equipment from the 1950s to the 1970s, located in Council Bluffs, Iowa, USA, and run by, and some of our old-time amateur operators will know this name, by Leo Meyerson, amateur call sign W0GFQ. I wish I would have. I do not have Leo Meyerson in my log. I think I could have. I was licensed at the time, but I don't think I ever talked to Leo. WRL manufactured some of its own products, notably under the Globe and Galaxy brand, names like Globe Champion transmitters. There were some Globe radios, CB radios, Globe logos on the front panel. Let's see, he made a companion speech amplifier, Globe sideband. In 1960, the Globe line was sold to Textron. So there you go, World Radio Labs. Let's see if I can put this in. Will it let me do that? We'll see what happens anyway. Yeah, back to you for a transmission.
Oh, thank you much. A lot of interesting stuff there, Dennis. A guy couldn't pass up a little radio like this. Some people would probably look at it and think if it was sitting in the shelf in a thrift store, it looked more like a metal detector. All they would need was the rod to find the gold. But it's a good-looking little radio and very responsive. You get on it, and the old indicator light on it is just flashing away like if a guy was really carrying on. But anyway, doggone it, Dennis, we want to thank you for let us check the old Hustler radio in.
It is my pleasure. It is my duty as the net control operator in the air chair to make sure as many radios that stop by do get on the air and notice. This is our way to, like they do in those old car shows, drive them around the block, show off the hubcaps, kick the tires, and let everybody enjoy. And I'm glad we have stations such as yourself that actually take the time and spend the money to do just that. World Radio Labs Hustler, very blue, very 11-meter, Class D, 8 channels with the, as we noted on our earlier general radio telephone radio, and very typical of the early 60s, to keep the price down using the tuning, VFO style tuning meter. And it even has an S meter as well. So this was not your run of the mill. This was a deluxe radio. S meter, the red modulation light, and a way to spot it to get your transmitter and receiver up to par. I did this with Cliff, and I'll do it with you. We'll put on the S meter. We'll give you a chance to give yourself a signal report if you watch the replay, and I'll check your frequency on that, Crystal. Go ahead.
Thank you much on that, Dennis. Doggone that for effect there. That close to being on thing receives like it's right on the dime. We appreciate that. We'll take what you give us, Dennis.
All right, we'll give you a 270-845-844, so about 500 cycles, or is that hertz? What do we say back in the day? 500 cycles to the low side well within the 700 cycles that the FCC allowed crystals to wander. So doing good, and thanks for bringing it by.
Thank you much, Dennis. Appreciate it. We got a couple more there warming up.
Okay, and that is a good thing. Radio number 2, World Radio Labs Hustler. Speaking of hustles, we've got, who is that checking in? SWL 62. I think I gave you a proxy check-in, but he is live and direct. Let me find the proper page for said check-in for none other than King Duckford. Thanks for joining us, where we are trying to get that North Dakota weather here in the sunny Central Valley of California. We're not quite there yet, but we're close. And 62 is checked in. The Jingle Singers will check in, and then we'll be listening for your tube radios back in 20 seconds.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, for music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
Listening for radio number 3. And it is quiet now that the skip has gone away. Will we get the short E-skip? I don't know. Robert checking in from Fresno over on the video side. Hey, we see you. Got you checked in. Doesn't matter what time. As long as the glowing 6L6 is on, we will say hello, radio. Looking for radio 3.
60.
Hello, radio, putting the 60 in spot number 3. And did I mention? I bet I did. For all those listening, first-time listeners, you don't need to have any number to get in here, right? Find yourself in front of a tube radio. You know, Uncle Fred says, hey, take this thing out of my garage, and it's one of those cool 11-meter radios, and you fire it up, you can come right up. Want to make say hello radio, make a transmission? You don't need to be on any list, right? We are here to serve you. Hello, Joe.
Hello once again there, Dennis. Doggone it, we've got a number. We've got a number for you. A Johnson Messenger 223. Got a little bit on the warm side now. It should be cooking. It's a glowing nice. It smells like it's cooking. It must be on. Dennis, my Johnson Messenger, 223.
I like that. It smells like it's cooking. It must be there. We'll pull up a great. I've got one behind me. Someone reminded me to turn it on. And it's right over my shoulder. Looks pretty good. We'll get the close-up here. The EF Johnson Messenger 223. There's a reason behind that number. But go ahead and take a transmission before we talk about it.
Thank you much. Yeah, doggone it, Dennis. Looking at it, it's a good-looking radio. Kind of reminds me of an old 65 Buick. You're looking at it with all that chrome in the front. Speakers, nice speaker, too. Good. It must be a good 4x4 inch speaker there. And doggone it, it's all painted up, looking nice. I hope it's sounding as good as it looks, Dennis.
I would say yes. Very good radio. I like your description of the 56 Buick. This radio does have a lot of chrome on the front. Nice little, not sharp edges, but it's just a solid radio. There's not much plastic on the front of this. Always the one we recommend if you really wanted to say, how do I get started in tube radios? Look for one of these. Lafayette's are good. These should be easy to find. They're tried and true. Comes from the Messenger, the line of the Viking the Viking Messenger 2 TWO, and then the 2 TWO23. Notice they spell it out, TWENTYTHREE. They like to spell it out kind of fancy. And it basically the Messenger 2 in a bigger case, big speaker, turn things around, add a power supply, 23 channels. And you've got their base rig that started in 1968, went to 1972 when they went all solid state. But can't beat Johnson for a great receive and really big transmitters. Why is that? We'll tell you in just a minute why these transmitters sound so good from the E.F. Johnson. Take a transmission, Joe, and we'll do the frequency thing here.
I appreciate that. Yeah, doggone it. Always nice to hear that you give us a frequency check on these radios. A nice big meter. All the way from 1 to about 30. And you're about halfway there. A nice big meter, nice lidded dial. It kind of goes together. Very simple, volume and squelch. 10 tubes. 23 channels. The guy couldn't ask for more.
Well, a guy could. Bozo Control would ask for more. He'd ask for like 6 of them, but one of them is all you can check in at a time. The frequency check shows you to be 100 cycles low, 50 cycles low, very close to being right on frequency. Sideband sounding good, nice audio in that. The lower sideband's doing good. I've switched the picture to show a different version of that radio, and it's for your history that I think later on they brought out the modulation light, little red light on the front. History, here's another radio. You're bringing some radios with some good history of companies that were more than just 11-meter radios, and creators of those companies who were pioneers and well respected in their field. 1923, company founded by Edgar F. Johnson, all right? E.F. Johnson, there you go, Edgar F. and his wife Ethel. Edgar and Ethel, 1923, celebrating what, their 90th year? No, their 2023, their 100th year in business, and they still are around. The company began as a mail order business, selling radio transmitting parts to amateurs, that's amateur radio operators, and early radio broadcasters from space shared with a woodworking shop located in downtown Waseca, Minnesota. In 1936, E.F. Johnson Company built its first factory and office building in Waseca and had 17 employees. The company the company designed and produced electronic components in volume and was active in World War II defense production. By 1945, the company had grown to 500 employees. Back in the day when you had employees. Pretty good. So helping the economy, building radios. In 1982, the company merged with Western Union and was later purchased in 1997 by... Are we talking about the same thing here? Let me go back. The Viking line of amateur transmitters included the Valiant, Ranger, and Pacemaker. In 1958, that's what we're looking for, the company manufactured equipment for a Class D citizens band radio. Very first, they got right in the door in 1958. One such transceiver, the Johnson Messenger, is exhibited in the Smithsonian Institution as an example of early American-made technology. So you got a Smithsonian radio there, over.
Yeah, that's pretty nice there, Dennis. Doggone it. Yeah, we never would have expected that from this radio here. Okay, well, you know what? Doggone it, I think we got some coffee and some donuts coming our way there, so we might give this one a little break there. Are we still okay there? I don't know if, did we do something wrong?
You did nothing wrong. You're sounding good, over.
Oh, okay. Well, doggone it. Yeah, I was kind of worried about this little helper, the Waseca helper that I have. I don't know if it goes along with this radio, but anyway, doggone, appreciate all that info, Dennis. And I think we're going to have us a zip of coffee, of course, maybe a donut or two there, and enjoy the OTR. All
right, that's what we're missing is donuts. They're probably down in the green room with everything else, but I'm up here in the air chair. So save me, what would be my donut? Save me a cake donut with some coconut on it, and I will be a happy camper. And I wanted to, what was the other thing they said about E.F. Johnson? So where's it today? In 1982, the company merged with Western Union. That's a strange merge. And was later purchased in 1997 by software manufacturer Transcript International. Headquarters relocated to Irving, Texas in 2005. The company became E.F. Johnson Technologies in 2008. 2010, E.F. Johnson Technologies Incorporated was acquired by Francisco Partners and later absorbed by Japanese electronics company JVC Kenwood. 2014. So if you see, the Kenwood guys hanging around and they're working on your Johnson radio or installing the E.F. Johnson, there you go. That's why. So still, if JVC Kenwood wants to be associated with your 1923 technology, you know it did it right. Thanks, Joe, for bringing by the radio. I'm going to jump over to the Jingle Singers, and we will be back in a moment on your Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all and
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR. Listening for radio number 4. Who has joined us in our interim? Mike T. Hello, Radio. Easy Street. I'd like to be on Easy Street this evening. And Tim Tron saying his rig in the 70s was a Lafayette Comstat 25A. There is another one that's always a good starter radio. The Lafayette Comstat 19, Comstat 23, 25A, the Johnson Messenger 223 like you just saw. Some of the radios built like a tank, very affordable. A lot of them gave you 23 channels to start with, and a good way to go. Still available. I think, even on modern day eBay prices, OTR is standing by listening for radio number 4. And look at that. If you're watching the video, I'm going to open the RF gain up here. The S meter is at S1. Remember the days if I've got S7 noise level? I shouldn't say anything because I'll jinx it. But man, that is just really nice. Now I didn't check to see. Maybe I'm fooling myself. I didn't check to see if perhaps in my absence, my less than stellar antenna is now, instead of being vertical, is now horizontal on the roof, or maybe it's blown down the avenue. And that's my signal noise ratio is pretty good because it's lying on the ground. Anyway, everybody else all the stations coming in are sounding good. Oh, I did not. They're saying, "Where's your pocket?" I did not do my pen. So let me do it here. I had it set, ready to go, and I got fooled because I had the cellular thing, but we do need the proper pen. So here we go. Pocket protector brought to you by Sylvania and Rogers TV. 216, 141st in Bismarck, North Dakota. And since we don't have is the other camera? Is it? No, it's way up there. You can't see it, right? No, it's way back up. Let's go to the other camera. And there you go. Rogers TV from Bismarck, North Dakota, in the 707 area code. And in it goes. Looking good. OTR listening for Radio 4. Oh, and Tim Tron says I need a diddle stick. We found the one at the radio station. The little gray, I used to have my greenie. That's the other thing you need. Where is it? Here it is. It's right here on my bench. I have the greenie, There's a bluey. The greenie is the slot screwdriver. And the diddle stick, which is sort of, it's recessed, and it works really well. You open up the ore band, they have those recessed screws and the Optimod. And it works nice on that. So Timtron points out, and rightly so, that if you're going to jump into the seersucker suit with the pocket protector and the greenie, you might as well have, I didn't know it was called a diddle stick. We used to call it I guess everything is called a tweaker. No, that tweaker in engineering terms. Doing that. Radio 4 is standing by, no doubt. OTR. I'm going to adjust the squelch up a little bit so the listeners are okay. DS315 out of Texas. Thanks for joining us, the L2 Radio Network. We do this every Saturday.
I'm sorry. Do you want to re-explain the positive definition of a tweaker? That's some sort of a what? An engineer?
That is a device. Thank you for that clarifying. That would be a device that your local engineering person, that he or she would use, pulling out of their pocket protector, such as this greenie Exolite, very tiny screwdriver with the slot blade that will go into those little mysterious tuning things that are inside your radio. They'll be looking at the schematic and looking at some scope or ohmmeter. And they'll insert the tweaker, aka greenie screwdriver, aka diddle stick, and rotate clockwise or counterclockwise to their delight. Look at said measuring devices and do a little, what do we say, peaking and tweaking. They're tweaking to find the peak over.
Okay. Well, I don't know if it's a generational thing or what, but I do have I have another acquaintance that introduced me to the term of tweaker, and it's really bad. It's not the definition that you just gave me. I don't know if I can really elaborate on on that more without divulging too much information.
Okay, well, times change. I mean, we all grew up as kids singing our famous Christmas carol where we said, "Don we now our gay apparel." And so things change. What can I tell you? All right, the Old Tube Radio Network looking for radio number 4. Also putting in, let me do it. Let me go to the SWL check-ins and make it official. Mr. 23 Skidoo back from his clandestine, and he can never tell me. He said he's not allowed to tell me what it is that he does for 11-meter radio at all broadcasting things, but he is back in the air chair tonight, so we'll give 23 Skidoo a checked in. And he asked the question, is it better to be gone but not forgotten rather than forgotten but not gone? OTR listening.
Very good, OTR.
Okay. I hope you are, you've cleaned the rubber, what is that, the Henry's 209 rubber cement off your keying hand. Go ahead, break OTR.
Well, actually, I was up in the attic, and my dust mask, I just took off my dust mask, and I'm quite dirty, which is the perfect attire for radio. This is SWL 40 checking in.
All right. Well, hopefully you found the spots, because as you know, the leak is over here, and you followed up the roof, and it's way over there. I used to go up in the roof of Channel 30. That was one of my jobs. It's like, go up there and find that leak. And you'd find that it would be way far away from where you thought it was. You'd see little bubbles coming through those, whatever it is, those rolled-on ceilings. All right, 40 is checked in. Oh, if I get the right profile there. There you go. SWL's 40 is checked in, and I hope you are doing okay.
Well, yes, I'm doing okay. But yeah, I'm just tired crawling in the attic. And we, here in this old building, we have actually two attics. There's an upper attic and a lower attic. Wow, yeah, and I'm pulling the old wire. What you do is you connect the new wire to the old wire, and you pull the old wire through until you pull it until you got the new wire in your hands.
Yeah, all that stuff. And in the building you're at, the N95 is probably a recommended mask should you be wearing one up in the attic, because of the various formatted devices that might have been up there from the early 1900s, like asbestos, that thing. So be sure to wear your N95 mask when you are up there. We were talking about, and you are an electronics guy, so you know these things about tuning and peaking and tweaking, quote unquote. The diddle stick would be a plastic stick that would have a small metal tab at the end. Yes, that's what we have at the station. Rich found one. It's got the small little metal tab. The rest of it is this is gray plastic, so that as the Timtron points out, that the small metal tab would not detune your circuit like the metal stick of the greenie would when you insert it in there. So that's why you wanted that, because it would change the tuning of the coil that you were adjusting. So you have the little one that just has that little tip, rather than the whole shaft. The rest is plastic, and you do your peaking and or tweaking. So the greenie is a different, it's good for undoing and doing little screws. So I wanted to make that. Thank you, Tim, for that. So we make that point. So if you are tuning your radio, you do it the proper way at all. So there you go. Larry, do you have a diddle stick?
Actually, I actually make my own, I have a stereo microscope I use to sharpen this diddle stick. And it works quite well once you sharpen it. And my diddle sticks are made of fiberglass.
Well, there you go. You don't have to worry about much of anything with that, except maybe getting a splinter.
20.
Hello, 20. All right, so Larry, thanks for joining us. I do have your number affixed to the proper check mark, and hopefully you have completed your task for the day.
Yeah, it never ends.
It never does. And let me go back to the REA. That's the cool little REA meter. I am running, just for the Timtron information, I'm running some phase rotation, which allows me, notice that the negative peaks are a little bit more than I would like, but boy, there is no distortion. Running that phase rotator, there's no distortion coming out at all that I can hear. I can make it distort. Even on the scope, you think, well, you're flat topping, but you do not hear that. You do not hear the sound at all. So this is pushed. I could push some more, but it sounds good. So it's a little technical stuff, and the positive peaks are about right, and possibly my antenna system or SWR could help with that. But this is monitoring at the end, right at the end on the coax, after the radio and everything else. Might look better if I didn't have some other devices, and in fact, it would look better. But amazingly enough, considering what I'm doing, and I'm doing a lot of stuff wrong, I'm semi-pleased with getting the modulation. It helps me know, where to tune stuff in. Cool thing. REA, Radio Engineering Associates, and it's available. It comes in little kind of homebrew box. Different elements, or different for the power output of your radio. Different boxes like that. This one is 3 watt to 300 watt version, but pretty cool. Anyway, it's good eye candy to look at, and I do not have the thousands and thousands of dollars to get the Bell R to get the real meter. Maybe someday in the junk throwaway pile we'll have. Tim, you should look for a Bell R AM modulation meter for me. All right, 20. I digress. We talk about technical stuff here, and I go off. Hello, 20. Hello, Harvey.
Roger. Number 20. 23S9 R2700A Browning combination. Transmitter is the 23S9. I didn't count the tubes, but they're there, I can guarantee you. And frequency-wise, it doesn't like to read. My inline freak counter does not, it's not really in line. It picks up the RF. One freak counter doesn't like to read it, but this other one, it loves it. And, come here, radio. Here we go. Come on. Here, come on, read. 27085-1, something like that. Anyway, heck of a time getting this thing going, the combination. Transmitter was giving me fits for a while, and then I kind of said, well, what's this? It's something I should have seen beforehand, but I never had this problem with any of these types of transmitters. But this one had the problem. And once I figured it out, I wrote it down. So as long as I can remember where the paper is, I'll have it handy.
Handy is a good thing. All right, I've got a picture of 23S9. We got to talk about your audio and the basket full of audio that is overflowing. Over.
Okay. It's an amplified D104 turned off, but actually it's probably not off. And the radio is turned up 1/2 inside on the transmitter. I'm going to swap microphones to an unamped D104 and see what happens.
Okay, I had the Orban loudness meter up and running. It's just a little shrill. I can hear all sorts of background noise. You probably have the transmitter set correctly if you're going to use a D104 or the banana microphonium. But of course, as we all know, on the Browning transmitters, they're set up to really not need or want to have the amplified microphonium. So when you come back, we'll check frequency and check some other things. And then give me the radio complement again. I neglected to write down the proper transmitter receiver complement. Over.
Okay, unamped D104 at arm's length. 23S9 transmitter, R2700A receiver. Now the ping is a little unusual because I have to have an external speaker plugged in. The external speaker is I'd say about a 3.5 by 7 metal box with the speakers in it, and they consist of about half the box has a woofer, then you have a mid-range and tweeter and probably a crossover and all that, and it's 8 ohms. Should be 3.2 or a 4-ohm speaker. The audio output transformer in the receiver is probably okay, because I hear you pretty much fine, and Cliff and all. The quality is still not there, not you guys, but from the receiver. And if I just use the internal speaker, everybody sounds pretty trashy, except you, because you've got, and Cliff, because both Cliff didn't have a huge amount of modulation, which is good for this receiver, and you have the audio board, so on the radio you sound just fine, but God, everybody else, because they're louder, just sounds really trashy, and it's not them, it's the speaker, and it's a special speaker in here which is mounted to the chassis a certain way, so you can't put a replacement in unless you make a special bracket. Now, is that enough to check frequency?
It would have been where I too actually been over there checking frequency, so we'll do it on maybe a less old buzzer transmission. What I was doing while you were transmitting there was showing the various radios you're using. Right now the picture's up to the R2700A. When is the 2700A from? And 1961, Browning Labs R2700A, the world's most up-to-date CB receiver, has antenna tuning control, planetary ball drive, all-channel tuning, silicon, rectified power supply, selective sensational. It sounds like an advertisement there. So yeah, the non-amplified microphone sounding a lot better. Sounding much better, so good job on that. And let's see, what else was I going to tell you? I don't know. I'll switch back to the transmitter picture, 23S9, and then we'll go back. You can take a shorter transmission, and I will grab your frequency. Here's a 23S9 transmitter that matches that. It's got the chicken head selector knob, which yours may or may not have. It's got the spot button, so not a super fancy radio. Of course, we're talking 1961. We're talking the early days of 11-meter style radio. The 23S9 transmitters were built with two different styles of channel selectors. 23S9 brings all-channel operation to your base station. Standing wave indicator. Where's the standing wave indicator? Pi network circuitry, TVI trap, spotting switch, and many other features that make it the talk of the airwaves. Back to you, and we'll check your frequency. Over.
Roger. I'm going to probably hold on to this for at least another week. It's going to be before that one sitting up on the shelf. This one actually transmits a lot better, or as far as swing goes. So I'm going to have to look at mine up there, see if I have to do a little retuning. But this one goes, hello, little under 5, hello, to about 13, 14, so not bad. And frequency-wise should be okay. And I think next week I'll try a banana mic on it.
All right, for the banana split and breaker acknowledged, you will be we're on radio 4, should be radio 5, which I am putting in now at, gosh, it's past 10 o'clock already. Time sure flies. And you're on the old tube radio. 23S9 2700A. Let me go to a better picture here. I did the frequency check. You are at 27084850. So what, 100 low, 150 low, something like that. That might jive with what you were getting as well. Over.
Roger. Okay. You ought to change your name to Roger. Anyway, trying to see if I have a banana mic that works, that's wired right now, and I'm looking, I don't see one. Anyway, it's not a big deal. I can do it next week, because I'll have this for a little longer. Anyway,
Yeah, this will need just an unamped D104 that's in good shape, or a good banana mic, which will not go with this radio. Gee, I wonder if the person heard that. Anyway, the person probably has a D104 unamped that can go in here. Now, my D104 amplified that I put in here, when you turn it off, it still works. But there are many that when you turn them off, they don't work, and you just crack them a hair on, and then they're super low. Well, this particular mic, when it's off, it's not quite off at all. And you told me that. All right, 23S9 R2700A. I've had it about a week or so, and this is the hybrid R2700A. The R2700 was two chassis they bolted together to make the receiver. The R2700A, non-hybrid, say, or later model, was one single chassis. This one's the hybrid with two chassis bolted together to make the radio. And they didn't do a good job. The bolting spots are supposed to line up. Well, only one lines up, and the other one doesn't. So when you have the radio out of the case and the bottom off, it kind of wants to flop around a bit. But once you have the bottom on, it's solid. Anyway, that's it for this one. I might do one more. Okay, thank you, Dennis.
All right, sounds good. They're really nice audio now with that microphone. Fixed it right up. Glad that you brought it by. From 1961, vintage, early 1961-62 Browning combination with the 23S9 and the, for your case there, the R2700A. Doing a good job. I think I had I was trying to see if I had some other comment there, but I think it is good. So bring by another one. We are going to be signing off here soon. Working on I was looking for a comment. Oh yeah, that was from 23 Skidoo when we were talking about but the Bob Denver song, put a string on my diddle and bone on my fiddle. Ain't nothing like a funny riddle. Thank God I'm an old tube guy. If it wasn't copyrighted, you never know. ETC would be around. Thank you for radio number 4, Browning Laboratories, and you've done it again. Over. The Old Tube Radio Network. Put the Jinkle Singers on hold because I want to get to radio before we get out of here. Radio number 5. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Dennis. I'd like to check in this radio.
I am marking you down for Radio 5. We are clearing out the radio bulletin board here and take a transmission, sir. Over.
Okay, well, I want to check in my general radio telephone, the Super MC11A. As you know, it's the 24-channel version of all those, and we are running this here with a handheld original stock microphone. Over.
As we just saw moments ago, changing from an amplified microphonium to a non-amplified microphonium, and here is a radio, if I can get a picture, there it is, the Super MC11A from beautiful downtown Burbank, general radio telephone, running its supplied unamplified microphonium and doing a great job. But take a transmission.
Okay, well, I stayed here longer, but I'm just not feeling that great this evening, so I just wanted to at least get this one checked in.
Okay, well, thanks for getting into the air chair. As you well know, your general radio telephone Super MC11A is a fan favorite. So you have made a few of our stations happy, including myself. I always like to put up there. One, your radio sounds really good, and two, we have probably the best picture in the world. Even better than the brochure that came out, thanks to Cliff, of this Super MC11A in its on Glory, right on Channel 11, showing the green illuminated background radio. The S meter is up and running, and it is radio calendar quality. So thanks for bringing it by, and you are radio number 5 tonight. Go take a much needed rest because we need you back next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. No, I've just been having a whole lot of angina today, so hasn't been a good day for me. So anyway, Dennis, thank you for being there, and I will try my best to be here next week.
Okay, because I will do likewise. It's been last couple of weeks. It's like I never know if I'm going to be in the air chair or not. So we are there, and the radios will follow. The Super MC11A with the General Radio Telephone logo, the GRT, between the channel selector and the S meter for Radio 5 tonight. Thanks.
Okay, Dennis, thank you.
And I will mention that's a 9-tube 2-transistor radio, so we added a couple of more tubes from the MC5 of earlier and the ECLL 800 on the output modulator, and what I think is probably I don't know if it's tube rolled, but it's probably a really, really sweet top-of-the-line 12AX7A that really works well on that radio. Yeah, it does. They're tube radios, so they do make a difference. Get those nice 12AX7s in there, and you will get some good audio. Speaking of good audio, I think we have radio number 6. Hello, Joe.
Thank you much, here, Dennis. Doggone it, get back on the same track as the old, the other Johnson Messenger. This one is the Johnson Messenger 2 TOO. 10 tubes and I think 10 channels looking at you.
It is up from the Messenger, or the Messenger Viking 1, their 11-meter Messenger with 5 channels. They did some upgrades. The Messenger TWO doubled the channel selector on the transmit side. Got to be crystal controlled. And I believe, do you have a tunable receive on that? Over?
I have Dennis on the channel selector. I kind of play with it to basically do something like I do with the Hustler radio, but it doesn't say tunable receive. But I have to kind of play with it as it warms up and pick up the stronger signal.
Yeah, it allows you to tune that in, I believe. I think the A, B, C, D is your crystal control. The other side gives you a tunable receive. 10 channels with 23-channel tunable receiver. 12-volt DC, 115-volt AC, so runs base or mobile, unlike the 223, which is base only. There is a schematic actually at old2radio.com. Sam's photo fax number 5, page 48. Looking pretty good. And your 223 is basically the same radio, and they stuck it in the case, turned it around, put the power supply in, S-meter, and gave you 23 channels. So that's why it sounds good. Very utility looking, but like I said, made to run base or mobile, and it was E.F. Johnson, so built like a tank. And even though it was back in 1968, you go 60 years ahead, and it's still sounding good here in the 21st century. Go ahead.
Well, Dennis, you know, if I were to carry this around and put it in a mobile, it'd be kind of a bulky radio. It's a solid radio, don't get me wrong. I like it as a base. I think twice about putting some brackets on there and maybe trying to hang it. Although I might set it on some type of turntable in a mobile. I've seen those. They're pretty nice, but it does away with the passenger. You'll have no passenger, but doggone it, it's a good-looking little radio. It has a little hidden modulator light in the background. It appears when you key up. Otherwise, you don't see it in the front. And like I say, it's a good, dependable little radio. And it also has a little helper to go along with it. Maybe part of the family, the Wasika. So it might have been around when this was being built there. they kind of look like a brother and sister operation in age, that is. Anyway, doggone it, Dennis, we wanted to check this one in before the net got away from us. Doggone it, I've enjoyed this evening and checking in my radios there, and hopefully we can do it again next Saturday.
We will do it again next Saturday. I want to say hello to our station joining us in Logan, Ohio. Billings, Montana is coming in. And a lot of you staying up late. It's Sunday morning for most places. I pulled up an ad, Citizen Radio Transceiver, and you'll be happy to know, Joe, that you have 23-channel tunable receiver, 10-channel transmit, or transmit and receive, 2 IF stages for improved selectivity. I think that was over the messenger, the Viking messenger. Excellent adjacent channel rejection, which I know my Johnson Whiteface didn't have that much great of channel rejection. Improved noise limiter circuit. Plug-in provision for the tone alert selected calling system, which we've discussed before. I think that Phil might have had one of those on a messenger, the 2 that he had, but the E.F. Johnson had a tone calling system that was not built in to the unit like we saw on the earlier General Radio Telephone MC5, and so of course it was a permitted thing by the FCC. I really think that's why they didn't like built-in tone selectors. So E.F. Johnson had it off to the side. And I know you will enjoy that it is touted with new modern styling. So enjoy the modern styling on your new radio. Radio number 6, the E.F. Johnson Messenger TWO. Thanks for bringing it by.
Oh, thank you, Dennis, doggone it, for letting me key this one up there. Like I say, I really enjoyed this evening. I wish I had 10 more to key up. Okay, Dennis, until next Saturday there, have a good one.
All right, doing well, sounding good. The jingle singers are ready to do what they do best, and we will be counting and mounting on your old tube radio network.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11,
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
Is this the one more radio frequency?
Well, it depends. Are you going to be modern?
No, I'm going to be old tube radio.
Well, then you can go right ahead.
Because those are my call letters, kind of. Okay, the Golden Beagle from Browning Lavatories, the R68T68, the old standby, with its microphone put back in. I was using it on the 23S9. Okie doke, I'll let you go. I'm going to be having to make a phone call here real quick. Otherwise, the person will be snoring, so I'll take care of that now. Alrighty, catch you next week, and I'll still have this one, because I'll be working on this receiver, and see if I can figure it out so everybody sounds good. Alrighty, take care. We'll talk to you later.
Oh, and with that, you reminded me of what I was going to ask you about. And you are Radio 7, by the way, of the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68. Does that have a built-in noise blanker? I know the Mark III had, you pulled out a knob or something. Could it be a noise blanker thing? Because I know that's the first thing you do when you get some audio that's got a lot of high frequencies or something, when you're doing some ESSB, where you turn off the noise blanker. So what say you? Would you say possibly a noise blanker issue? Too much noise blankectomy? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Over.
Okay, the noise limiter switch, it's a potentiometer with a switch on it, like a volume control would be. And when it's off, you hear better, and when it's on, it noise limits, but it also cuts the audio and the intelligibility of the station down, but it does cut the noise. I usually keep them off, but this one I was just checking. The switch is intermittent, so I'm going to check it. But I was checking some resistors, and I was checking one, so I put the one probe on the left side, because it was horizontal, one on the right side, and when I put the one on the right side, the connection fell off. So this thing's got a little bit of work to be done.
Yeah, sounds like it might do that. So I would say don't overlook the noise blanker thing, because that's especially if it sounds like the stations are distorted, especially on the high frequencies. And you mentioned that you thought I sounded better. Well, of course I am running lots of compression thanks to the 532 and thanks to the compeller and thanks to a couple of other things on my radio, so that I can actually do 125% modulation without the distortion. So yeah, just keep that in mind, as you already know, that maybe there's just some adjustment on the noise limiter is overdone. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, that's right where I was. We're checking that out. I'm going to do that. The way this particular radio works is with the noise limiter off, you can pull out the noise limiter tube. Just pull it out of the radio. Radio plays the same. But as soon as you turn the noise limiter switch on to adjust the limiting, if the tube's not in there, it just goes blank and you hear nothing. So you have to have the tube in there for that. But when you turn the switch off, then it works. So I'm going to have to check that switch out. I see where the wiring goes to the tube and this, that, and the other. So I'll check it out and see what we got there. Plus, resistor-wise, in another radio, in the I think 6BA6, I think it's IF section. There's 3 of them, and they're all kind of set up the same. Well, I checked the resistors in them, and usually you find 1 or 2 that are a little high and the rest are real close. Well, as I checked them, every single one was a little high. So I figured the combination might make that particular receiver not perform right. So I changed them all, and sure enough, it was fine. Well, this one, you can see it's got some very old resistors in it. So there you go. It's got some 1940 ones in it. Okay, you need to go to sleep, and I need to shut up.
Well, we're glad that you are there, and when in doubt, I just change everything out. You are sounding good. The Old Tube Radio Network, Radio 7, the Browning Golden Beagle, the R68 T68. There was the radio before that, the R27S23, which was the Eagle, the R20, the TR68. Let me get this right. The R68 T68 receiver transmitter from 1967, the first radio to don the Golden Eagle, had the big flying Golden Eagle across the front, and did that for what, about 12 months, 18 months before they came up with the Mark II. Price on this radio, the combination, $395, around $400, top of the line radio, top of the line price. And there were a couple of different versions, as there always were with Browning, as they were going through the production line. So you might have some various differences in meters or switches, things like that. Sounding good. Like the radios tonight. Thanks for stopping by, and it is that time to get on out of here.
Break OTR?
And the break OTR, go ahead, over.
Okay. I know it's like super late, but let's do this. I'm going to attempt to keep twice here. For your listening pleasure from the Radio Lounge, we have a Robin T123, and and hopefully without any mishaps. Here comes another key up.
All right, I'll give you a little time to switch the coax. The T123 we're showing a picture is Radio 8. It is by Robin, and this is a pre-1972 model, I believe, and it has the Magic Eye, the vertical style Magic Eye tube, and sounds pretty good. Over.
Well, thank you. The Magic Eye tube was definitely the feature that drew me to that particular radio. This one I'm on right now, the second Robin, the 123B is in Bravo. Great looking radio. I definitely do not like using it at this hour of night because I've got to attempt to speak uncontrollably loud. And even though I'm doing this, this modulation lamp is doing practically nothing. But yeah, there it is, a Robin that's got a great stock microphone that's probably pretty wet now because I'm almost screaming into the sucker.
Voice still sounds good, and it does. The Robin T123 has a bit of an edge in the modulation, a little bit louder, a little bit crisper. This still sounds good. Your voice still sounds like you. Of course, this is the Panasonic 2nd Series chassis. Nice AM plate modulated. The Robin was one of their models that got to have all of the, I don't know, what do you call it, front elevation items with all the lights and switches, range expand, which I'm sure is on. So still doing a good job. Over.
No, thank you. It looks great. Both these Robins smell really good, and I've just discovered that even in a freezing radio lounge, if you stick your face up to a Robin radio to smell the just wonderful vacuum tube smell, it actually warms your face up too. That's a bonus.
It's that burning dust from 7 tubes radio at the beginning of the net to a 9-tube radio all the way up to this 11-tube radio. Operator's manual schematics available at oldtuberadio.com. 1972 to 76 produced the Panasonic chassis, and the only reason they stopped doing it is because they were 23 channel. The FCC said, oh no, not allowed to do those 23 channel radios after that. And so they took their 11 tubes and 2 transistors and figured out how to squeeze some more channels out of that for the 240D. A good radio. I was looking to see if I could find a price. I cannot from that time, but my guess it was in the low to mid $200 range. And worth every penny of it here in the 21st century. Thanks for bringing by Radio 8 and 9, the Robins.
Thank you, and for what it's worth, everyone sounds great on both of these. I've kind of been flip-flopping back and forth between both of them just to kind of see what the audio sounds like. And it doesn't matter. They both have their own characteristics, but everyone sounds great on both of them, sincerely.
Indeed, I noticed they don't tout that this has the modern styling like the E.F. Johnson, but it indeed looks pretty modern. Thanks for stopping by your Old Tube Radio Network. All right, any other stations before the jingle singers? Well, actually, they've already done. I guess Mr. Announcer is going to have to come on and say bye-bye. Anyway, last call. Okay, and then, Mr. Announcer.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
And boy, they know how to wind up a net here. Your current and final totals here on the Old Tube Radio Network. This is a thing. Back 30, 35 years ago, people would come on and say totals. And we would have to, we would, just want to sign off. They said, no, tell us about the totals. So it became a thing. So here we go. Shortwave listeners tonight, 70. 18 on page 1, 19 on page 2, 17 on page 3, 23 on page 4. Of course, you don't have to be on any list. Just stop by and say hello. Many of you do. It's kind of a tradition, I guess, kind of a thing we do. But we're glad that those of you who do stop by, and with YouTube or oldtuberadio.net, are just coming by on the frequently to say hello. We enjoy that. Radios tonight, there were 9. Who was the most heard manufacturer? Didn't do my counting and mounting. I think we had a tie. We had 2 General Radio telephones from General Radio. We had 2 F. Johnsons tonight. And we had 2 Brownings. And we had 2 Robins. So who was the lone radio? The Hustler. It was pretty good. Like a 3-way tie. Here we go. Radio started with a General Radio telephone Super MC5. Back from 1962. Got a nice, I don't know, I guess, got a nice demonstration, we'll call it that, of the Q-Bird, the tone signal. And Cliff, if you're listening, yours is in very good shape. I think there's a tube or something that runs that, and it was not hesitant. It was peppy. It was a peppy little Q-Bird. I like that. Radio number 2, Joe on the Hustler World Radio Labs. That's our lone radio tonight. We didn't have 2 of those. I don't think there are 2 of those. I think we have probably the only one. I should say we. I say we, but it belongs to Joe, but he shares it with the Old Tube Radio Network and everybody. Joe also came by with E.F. Johnson Messenger 223. Radio number 4, Harvey on the 23S9 2700A Browning combination from 1961. I didn't think it was that long ago, but Browning, E.F. Johnson, big companies coming in there right at the beginning, getting some, I guess, brand recognition for people on their CB radios. But there were many manufacturers, but only a few. It's like automobiles. Go back to the 1920s, 1910s, and look at all the automobile manufacturers and see how many actually survived into the 1950s. Radio number 5, Chris on the General Radio Telephone Super MC11A from General Radio Telephone, one of their last radios. Radio number 6, Joe on the E.F. Johnson Messenger TWO. That was followed by Harvey on the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68 for Radio 7. My tongue is getting tired, even if I'm not. Radio number 8, Mike on the TRC. No, he's not on the TRC. He used to be on the TRC 217 long ago, standing up by the swimming pool. He'd be skating on the swimming pool, trying to get that antenna to work. The T123 Robin, and then its counterpart from 1972, the Robin T123B. So lots of Robins, lots of Generals, Brownings, and who knows what. Your Old Tube Radio Network, Real Radio's Glowing in the Dark. Thanks for joining us Saturdays 8 to 10 or so here on the West Coast to Pacific Time. Something we've been doing with you all since the early 1980s. Still going on. CB radio at its finest. Back in the day, this is what it was like, right? You remember. So don't give up. Don't give up on your 11-meter radio. Studying for your amateur radio license first ticket, please keep going. Cycle 25 getting really good and plenty of space. Like going to the park. You get on 11 meters and it's a little crowded to jump on your amateur frequency of license and talk there when you can. It's fun. Or maybe you want to upgrade. We're gonna get 10-meter AM open. We'll do a coming down the road. Maybe we'll do a Sunday afternoon thing for all the 10-meter guys. 73, everybody. Your Old Tube Radio Network saying we will catch you next time on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Good show, Dennis. Catch you next week.
There was a show?
I don't know. I just woke up.
Yeah, well, now we can all go back to sleep. All right, sounding good, and stay dry.
Thanks, Dennis.
All right, everybody, I'm cranking it down. It has been a long day. It has been a long week. And there's more to go. Good night from the Old Tube Radio Net Control.